Hello! Today I'm going to show you how to vectorize from a hand-drawn, scanned-in object. Basically, the image you see here is a image that my brother-in-law drew for me. I'm going to go ahead and start by tracing out the word grim. Because basically what I do if I have a hand-drawn image, I break everything down into layers. Like the word grim here, I'm going to put in its own layer. The scythe, I'm going to put in its own layer. As well as the grim, I'm going to put in its own layer, so I'll have 3 total. Plus the background layer that I'm tracing, which I usually lock. The first thing I do is I'll start by creating a new layer. And like I said, I'm going to start with the word grim. Now to get to this option, in case you don't know, just double click on the layer and you can rename it. So I'm going to call this one grim to word. That's simple. Alright, so I've got that one set. Then I come over here, just get my pen tool, and I make sure that both my fill and stroke are off. Now, sometimes you can turn on the stroke and give it a coloring. Sometimes I do like a real off-the-wall, like a hot pink or something, just for tracing purposes. Kind of makes it a little bit easier, but I think on this image I won't really need it, so I'm just going to keep it off. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to start on the G here. So we'll start with this tip. Now, in case anyone doesn't know, the way the pen tool works is you click by a starting point, and then you click on an ending point. It creates a line. While you're holding the mouse down, you can drag it out, and these handles come out. And what that allows you to do is create the curve that you want. Now, what you got to do is you got to click back on the dot so that you can go to your next curve. So I'll show you what happens if you don't click on the dot. If you don't click on the dot and you try to go to this point here, it tries to continue out that curve and it will drive you insane. So, and also if you mess up, just hit Control Z, it'll back up to your last point. And there you go. So let me try to get this blown out here real quick. I don't want to bore you guys too much. It's not what my videos are about. I don't need to hear people snoring or give me bad comments saying that I am boring. I try to keep it interesting as much as possible. Sometimes you can get stuff done by just doing shapes, but I find that the pen tool does a lot of the work for me. And I don't concentrate on tracing it exactly the way it was drawn. Whoops, see, I just goofed. Forgot to click there. I don't trace it exactly the way it was drawn because sometimes it gets impossible, but I get as close to it as I can. So, let me show you that. Once you're there and you're getting to your final point, if you see where it's turning into a little circle next to the pen tool, that means that's your finishing point. Once that's there, that means you're going to finish off the shape that you're creating. And there we go. So now, like, if I turn on my fill, I've got it. Let's go ahead and give it let's say we give it black. And that's how you trace. So now I've got an image that I can move away if I wanted to, duplicate if I wanted to, just all kinds of things. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and blow this out real quick, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm resuming the recording here because I got on the M here, and if you look, the M's are pretty similar, so instead of wasting my time trying to trace this M, I'm just going to use this one. Now if you go over to your selection tool here, and hold Alt down, you can actually create a copy of it. So I've got the one copy here, and then now I have a copy right here. So I'm just going to kind of manipulate it to fit. Now, it kind of fits but doesn't, but I'm going to show you another trick. If you go over here to your direct selection tool, you can click on the points and move the points around, as you can see. And it sometimes it can be a saver, sometimes it can be an annoyance. As like, for instance, this one I kind of goofed, so I'm going to have to come and readjust it and force it into where I want it. So on this one I probably should have just traced it. It probably would have been easier. But and as you can see, any of these handles, you can grab these handles here and you can readjust the way the arc is going. Oops, I grabbed the wrong thing there. And something happened. I don't know what. There we go. I think that's what happened there. This one I gotta bring back out. There we go. Like I said, it's sometimes it's easier just to kind of trace it, but I thought I'd show you another neat feature. Sometimes it'll work for you, sometimes it won't. But as you can see, this one kind of works for me, but not as well as I would have liked it to. So, yeah, and there you go. Alright, so now I've went ahead and I've traced all my lettering. You can't really see it, but if I highlight them and turn on my stroke, if I hit the right button, you can now see everything. Now, let's go ahead and change the stroke up a little bit. That's a little thin. Let's go to like 3 point. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. If I go ahead and hide my background here, you can see what it looks like. It's not bad. Definitely got some work to do. But as you can see here, these aren't coming to a sharp point like I'd really like them to. So what I'm going to do is get my eraser and just kind of try to curve them in a little bit. Of course, if it helps if I actually click on it. You got to click on the option or the path that you're trying to adjust. So and let's see, and that looks pretty good there. Looks good there. Oop, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. Wow, that one's just not going to cooperate with me, is it? Huh. As you can see, I'm just experimenting. I come in here and try to get it to do what I want. Then if it doesn't do it, I just hit Control Z and do it again. I gotta click on this one so I can sharpen those. I want everything to be sharp. There we go. And let's go ahead and sharpen these up. And sharp. Something's going on there. There we go. I think that looks pretty sharp. So, as you can see, I traced the word grim right off that paper. Pretty exact, not too bad. So I think next we'll go ahead and start with, let's go ahead and do the scythe next. So basically I'm going to create another layer. I'm going to go ahead and hide that layer because I don't need it anymore. Double click on the word, and we're going to change this to the word scythe. Alright, so we've got that in there. Let's go ahead and go to our pen tool, trusty dusty pen tool, turn off our stroke. Now, like I said, let's go ahead and turn it back on. I'm going to show you how I do it when it's on. Let's go ahead and do a 4-point stroke, and let's give it a real pink look, just to know that it doesn't really belong there. So we go ahead and click on our starting point, and click on our ending point. Now this is just a straight staff, so I'm not going to worry about too much curves in this. Alright. And then we come up to our last point, and then finish rounding that off. Alright. Now this is going to be kind of interesting here, because I'm going to be creating two paths. Now I'm going to put this next path I'm doing on top of this one. So if we click our starting point, ending point, whoops, let's redo that. Let's go ahead and click on our starting point over here, that way it's less confusion. And then we go to here, let's create the curve of the blade. Alright, now we go to here. I may have to zoom in on this one because this is going to get kind of tight. Alright. You can see I just moved the blade around, but what I did is I moved the entire layer. So mainly I just held control down, and you can move layers around while you're working on them. So we want to continue on from here. Let's go ahead and give that a more of a curve there. And we're just going to go ahead and continue the curve here. This is just basically where the part of the blade is going into the staff. And let's go all the way over here. And I goofed. So zoom back out. Alright. Now, like I said, I messed up here, but I'm going to correct it by using the select tool. So I'm going to come in here and just move this part back down there. And maybe a little bit more up. I think I screwed up the curve there, but that'll work. Alright, so we've created the scythe. Now let's go ahead and change that color. Let's get it off of purple or pink. Let's put it on the black. Alright, now I mentioned how I was going to create this one on top. Well, normally if I had started with it, it would be like that, and that would be on the bottom. But I'm going to move this one up here so it's on the top part. Because that way, if I decide to colorize it, which I'm probably going to do a gradient with this, to kind of give that a blade look. So let's go ahead and play with that. And I think I want to kind of I might still adjust the gradient on this. Let's see if we can kind of get that little bit of that shimmer shine type look. Yeah, see, I think I need to. Now I'm gonna have to customize the gradient. Need to add some more. another one, and another one. And let's add, make this one white. So I'm just trying to make that rippled blade look. Anybody can kind of make their own types of blade or metal look on it. I'll go and turn the stroke off. So yeah, that's kind of looks okay. I'm okay with it. I'll probably change it up later. For the staff part, I'll kind of want to give it a wood look. So once again, I'll probably do a gradient, but I'm going to change it up to make it look more woody. Let's go ahead and we'll just start with the basics here. Alright. I'll probably just keep these colors here. I'm just probably going to change them around here. Let's give it a little bit of orange. So let's see. I think we're going to go to the numbers. So we're going minus 163. That looks pretty good. Like I said, I'm not going to get too involved with it because, like I said, it's just the purpose of kind of showing you how I do things. So let's go ahead and turn off that stroke. Alright, so now if we close this one up and we look at both of them, now I want the word to be on top of the scythe, so I'm going to move this one down. And let's go ahead and let's say I want to change the, just to kind of get an idea what this is looking like so far. I think I'm going to change this to a red. No, a red. Oh, I got something going on there I gotta fix. I'll show you how you can fix that. No, I want red. Alright, there we go. Nice red. Alright, I mentioned I had a little goof here. You can see where the R, I did trace it, but because I traced it separately, it created a kind of like it's there, but it's on underneath the solid one. All you have to do is just click on the two paths so that they're both selected, and you bring over your Pathfinder, which you can go to Window and then Pathfinder, or Shift Control F9. But then you just click on the minus front, pop, and it takes it away. So now that that's fixed, let's see what we got. So far that's what I got. Probably go ahead and put a stroke back on it. I'll probably do it a black stroke though. Oops, because it helps if I select them all. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Alright, so I got 2 out of the 3 layers done. So we can go ahead and turn off those 2 layers, and now we're just going to trace the grim. So we go ahead and turn off our fill and stroke, get back to our pen tool, and then we go ahead and start tracing away Now this one gets kind of tricky because it's got multiple curves on it. Oh, sorry. First, before we do that, let's create our next layer. We're just going to call this Grim. Now that we're actually drawing on a new layer, let's go ahead and start drawing. So, as you can see, the pen tool color changes depending on the layer that you're working on. It's kind of a way you can determine what you're doing. So, we'll go ahead and trace this out first. Alright. Alright, so we've got that one traced. Now, let's get back on our right layer. And let's go ahead and trace out. Now, he didn't, obviously, I don't know what's under here, so I've got to kind of just draw whatever I want. Just to kind of get an idea of what's going to be there. And I don't like how that's looking. So we'll alright. And we'll kind of go back here again. And then back up here. No, that's not going to work. Just go here. There we go. I'm not quite sure how that's going to turn out. It's kind of tight in there. Sometimes it helps if you zoom real close. Yeah, I'm trying to do too much at once. Sometimes you can't bite off more than you can chew there. There we go. So let's go ahead and go down to here, which is a little better. And then back up to here. Probably don't need these tassel things that I'm doing here, but they kind of look cool. Probably just going to make them solid. This is an example of what I mean by I don't try to trace it exactly, because I might just go ahead and say, let's just make it simpler. So, go over here. Let me try to knock this out real quick. Yeah. When you got a lot of different curves, you got to kind of keep track of what you're doing, because otherwise you get carried away and then you do what I just did. So, damn. Alright. Alright. Then we come down to here. Back up. And we are almost done, I promise. I know that watching people do stuff, these tutorials can get pretty boring. So let's try to keep it interesting. Alright. Alright. Now you're going to see there's going to be a difference here, because I'm creating two entirely different shapes. So, that didn't work. Let's do that first. There. Alright, so we've got two shapes here. Probably going to have to do something different with the skull. It's a lot of detail to trace out. I'm probably not going to force you guys to watch me do that. So let's see what this looks like. Now obviously we're going to fill it, but not with red. Fill it with black. Alright. And then this one here, I'll fill with kind of more of a gray, if I can find it. Alright. Now as you can see, I want this to be underneath it, so let's go take a look at our layers and see where it's at. It's underneath it. So I can take this and move it out if I have the right tool, obviously. And we'll just tuck it underneath there. So that way we don't have to worry about it. And there we go. So far so good. Looks like I gotta trace the hand. Let's see what everything's looking like so far. Now, obviously we want the, we gotta unlock the layer first. We want the scythe to be above the hood. So we move it down here. And there you go. So far so good. Alright, so far there we go. Alright, next we gotta do the arms. But I think I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I got some different arms or hands I'm gonna use. So, go ahead and be right back. Alright, this is kind of a little bonus here. I'm gonna kind of show you how I make this. Alright, so basically I've got these hands here. I kind of like them better than the ones I'm going to be tracing, but I want the actual bones too that go along with it. Let's move my alien skull out of the way. I gotta fix those eyes. Don't like the way they look. Basically, I gotta make, you know, the lower and upper part of the arms and bones. So I'm just going to take this piece, hold Alt down, and copy it. Then I'm going to turn it. Now I want to stretch this out, and I can't do it just by doing this. It won't do it right. I've actually got to reset it here. So if we go to flatten transparency, it'll make it to where I can stretch it with no problems. And then I'm going to duplicate it. Let's go ahead and move these a little closer there. And move this one there. Now, to make the other one, I'm just going to duplicate just one of them. Just make it a little bit bigger. And change the angle. See? So basically, you can create something in here and work it like a puppet, I guess you could say. Now I'll go ahead and group these, so that way no matter which one I click on, it'll move them all. Alright, so I'm going to move this off screen. I'm going to drag this into this one here. So now if we kind of manipulate this to go right about where I want it to go. Alright. Now, we want it to look like he's holding this thing here. So we've got to work on that. Basically, if we right click on the image that I'm working on and go to Arrange, Bring to Front, it brought it to the front of the layer it's on. There's the tricky part. If we go into the layer that I'm on here, where do I need to go? Where is he? There he is. If we put him on the layer with the scythe, then we get more control there. So now this guy, he's not where I want him to be. I want him to be behind it. So it's two things I can do. I can leave him there, or I can delete him. I'm going to go ahead and ungroup this, so I can just click on it individually, and I'm going to send it to the back. Arrange, send. See if I can just send it back once. Send it back twice. And just send it all the way to the back. There. So now this part, not quite looking right. So I'm just going to, I think I might get my selector tool here and manipulate these. So I'm just going to kind of change the way he's gripping this thing. See, do something like that. Another thing you can do is I can go ahead and cut it here and just send that part to the back. And that'd probably make it look like he's more like he's holding it. But I think for the most part I'm just going to shrink it. I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, so far so good. Like I said, the hand's not quite realistic looking, but it's kind of what I'm doing. I'm just kind of adding on to this. Now, I want to go ahead and make a sleeve, which I'm probably going to be covering up that arm anyway. I'm going to go ahead and make the sleeve on part of this here. So this is where you just start getting kind of creative. It's like, alright, so he's going to come down to here, and then to here, and then he's going to go to here, and then back up to here. So it kind of frees me up if I decide to keep it or not, keep the sleeve on there. Now I'd like to go ahead and make another sleeve here. And let's close it off. Let's go ahead and make this more of a gray and put it behind. There. So as you can see how everything works if you just manipulate the layers. You can get the idea of what you're trying to do done. This is pretty simple, not too hard. Alright, and there we have it. We've got our Grim here, basically coming off of the original, which is right here. Let's say it doesn't look too bad, minus a couple of different features in the skull and the hand. Just for time's sakes, I didn't trace that all out properly. But you kind of get the idea of how things are done. And I hope you've learned something with this, and maybe you learned how to do something a little different. Definitely this is my way of doing it. Not to say that it's the right way, but hope you all enjoy, and I look forward to seeing you to the next one. Alright, well, I thought I'd show you guys what the final artwork looked like. Um, Basically, I just started out with this hand-drawn image from my brother-in-law, like I said, and we turned it into this. But after working with it, I didn't like how short the scythe's staff was, so I went ahead and reworked it and did this, which I liked a little bit more. Also worked on the face a little bit, and the mouth looks a little better. The eyes definitely look better than the mouth. But what can you say? But this should give you an idea of why I do it the way I did. Because like I said, basically instead of just tracing it out, I'm able to grab the entire word or the entire scythe and just readjust it however I want. So it's definitely a lot more beneficial for you to trace out and basically create multiple objects that you can move around on the one image that you're trying to create. So, alright, well, hope to see you guys in the next video.